Hey Taurus, welcome to Catalyst Energies and welcome to your weekly astrology forecast. My name is Dee. Thank you for joining me. I am so grateful that you're here. If you're not new to me, but this is new to you, this format, I would love your feedback because I would like to, I think, institute, if it seems to really fill a need, I'd like to institute this particular type of content, these shorter recorded videos per sign every week. This is a check-in. So if you haven't listened to the astrology report from today, that is the weekly astrology report in general, I'll link that at the end of this video. But for now, we're going to look at Taurus rising, Taurus moon, and then Taurus sun in that order. So this will be specifically addressing the Taurus rising people, but all strong Taurus people are probably going to find something that sticks out for them. So it's just a check-in, but definitely listen to the larger astrology report for the weekend leading up to the full moon that'll be in Gemini. So Taurus, general theme here, okay? You are our future, Taurus, okay? Let me say that again. You are our future. In that, all you have to do is be yourself, and you will find that that is the direction we're all being pulled in to go. You have Uranus that has been in your first house for a little while now, and will be there for a while longer, depending on where your first house is. Your capacity to maintain your identity as you are accessing infinite identities along infinite timelines or dimensions, I guess you would say, with Uranus retrograde, is why you are our future. Not to mention the fact that the nodal axis of the moon is about to change into Taurus and Scorpio. And so even our karmic destiny as at a soul level is in line with very much who you are, Taurus. And when I pulled a card before I did before this reading, I pulled a card, and it's the Ace of Coins. I mean, Ace of Coins, Ace of Pentacles, Ace of Discs. Like, you are the seed, very much in just who you are. So we're going to look at the transits that started on Friday, as you see here, Friday the 10th of December, because that is the beginning of this second lunar quarter, which is what we're looking at. We're looking at the first quarter moon up to the full moon in Gemini. And we're looking at the main transits and specifically just what areas of your life they are impacting. That's what this horoscope is really, really for. And so once you start to get an idea how to read these charts for the current astrology, you can start to get an idea of how things are going to impact you or what areas. That way you can be, in resonance with what's happening as opposed to resisting it, and maybe even anticipate some things a little bit. So let's go back, Taurus, just a minute here and remind ourselves that the 8th house is where the solar eclipse that just happened on the 4th is for you. 8th house is the Scorpio house, and it is about what we produce together. What is the resource that is created when two aspects come together in some sort of interpersonal relationship, and that's shown as a form in the 7th house. The 8th house is the depth of the feeling of it, and so the 8th house areas have to do with shared resources in like a marriage or a business, inheritance perhaps. And not inheritance that you were born with, but somebody dies and you inherit some sort of wealth, right? Or investment into something, and then the investment grows and the profit happens. That's also an 8th house type of thing, business. But it's also about the occult and depth psychology and the subconscious and the realm of the shadow, because it's really about all of those things that we produce in relationship, whether they be financial resources, energetic resources, alchemical power in some way, sexual, if you're practicing any kind of sexual alchemy, what is created, an actual life that is created that is, the urge to do so, the procreative urge or the procreative push is part of the 8th house. But all of those things have a power of their own, and that power is there regardless of the intention of the coming together. It will create something that holds the intention to begin with. And so the eighth house tends to be very dark and bring up the subconscious, because it is the realm in which we truly create from, because it's the depth of the feeling. That is the real power. So for Taurus people, not only is this eclipse cycle, the solar eclipse that is really representing a purification of what has come before so that we can move into the next stage, is in this area of shared experience and what you create and produce as a result of your relationships. Now, Taurus, Mars has been in your relationship house now for the last how many weeks? And so there's been a lot of really intense initiative, focus, and action here in the realm of your interpersonal relationships, taking action in some way, shape, or form in your relation as the action taker in a relationship. You know, whatever the initiative or courage that you've needed in your relationships, you found it, and it's to get at the truth about something, or to get at a more get at the depth of the feeling of the relationship itself. And so now it's moving into your eighth house as well today. Mercury's moving into the ninth house. And so this whole area of sharing and the resources that we create in sharing with each other is undergoing a purification period, but it's also getting a lot of attention, right? Because also the realm of the mind has been here, and then Mars is going to be in here, and K2 has been here, which is where we've been collectively, our masterful area. So the sharing realm and sharing meaning, I think, is really important, and belief systems and the power of sharing those is big for Taurus. As where we start, though, is the square not only between the moon and the sun on Friday, but right after that, the sun and Neptune, and the moon is with Neptune when it's squaring the sun. So there is a very distinct tension that's created here when a really strong expression and expansiveness in the realm of this sharing and the intensity of sharing and the resources that are created in our sharing is meeting with this just totally nebulous, dream-oriented, very powerfully empathic and intuitive mystical quality that represents the entire social organism as a whole. Not so much the power that's created within the duality, but the power that is present in the social organism as a whole, right? It doesn't require, and it's a knowing of that. It's an alignment with that, as opposed to the eighth house is the feeling of it and the intensity of it. And so while there's a lot of attention being paid on, you know, what you are sharing, what are you producing in your shared relationships, whatever they are, meeting this very dissolving power of the collective as a whole. And so it kind of, for Taurus, it seems like no matter what you do over here, this continues to become very broad and idealistic with Neptune here. And then with the moon on top of it, it really makes the failures and the social injustices on a collective level you reflecting them. It's so strongly and you're very much, it's dissipating so much of the will to like sacrifice yourself to this relationship, because you are really now feeling into so completely the full experience of the social organism. And that is, it's not necessarily taking the wind out of your sails, but it is kind of dampening that like really strong drive for a moment into the will to sacrifice and to find yourself by giving your power over to the situation because you believe in it. Right? Spiritual sustainment through sharing and participation in group activities. It's just that you're becoming really aware of a much broader impact that's having socially, and of what's working and what's not working. And it can have a tendency to, like I said, dissolve or just kind of dampen that really strong resolve. Now, Mars is going to come into this area today, and it's going to pick it back up. But over the weekend, you could really feel the, it's almost very defeatist or passive. But for you, it's just with Taurus in particular, it's just becoming very aware at an emotional, intuitive, and empathic level of what is going on with the collective, which takes you out of the intensity of the one-on-one or the intensity of the duality situation or the feeling of it, really. So, and it makes everything so broad. And I think that it almost will feel like no matter what I do in this situation, it doesn't seem to really be able to take the place of the full experience in the whole picture. And I could see how for Taurus that could be really, there could be a sense of, well, it could go both ways, I guess. It could allow access to the full picture so intuitively that it might still be a square to this whole area of sharing, but that square is going to kind of like keep you from falling away from that will, right? And Mars coming into your 8th house today, I think is really going to help with that, right? You don't want to just completely give up, right? And there's a really strong tendency to do that in this position. But what you can also do is take what you are, looking into the magic mirror, or really feeling into the full experience of the collective, and instead of feeling defeated or totally passive about it or not doing anything about it, you actually realize how much more you have to act on the meaning of this relationship, right? Of it really does start here, or it gains its momentum and its power in the 8th house. And so Mars is going to come and really give a lot of initiative in terms of that house, and definitely is going to be very aggressive and possibly very forceful in your attitude towards arousing people into action. And this is taking a leadership role in some sort of ritualistic context, maybe, but you are going to really start driving others towards a goal, I think, Taurus, and stir and activate all these social processes of production and distribution. And I think a lot of that's going to be how uncomfortable it is to just feel into what's going on now and be like, oh no, I don't want to do that. So Venus and Pluto, well, here we go. These two were in a conjunction on Saturday, and it was gnarly. So for you, it's in the realm of your actual belief systems and the big picture. For a Taurus person, the culmination of all of their growth, study, analysis, and full understanding that really drives their then contribution to society is your 9th house. Well, of course, it's Capricorn for a Taurus person. Earth culminates with this Earth sign as well, and the unfolding of the material world as a result of all of our participation with each other. This is where a Taurus person is really going to derive a lot of their meaning, is the goals and the ambition to actually bring something into fruition. Because once they get moving, I mean, Taurus people are like master builders, and so they really realize the big picture through the unfolding of the material world. So with Venus and Pluto meeting each other, Venus being the chart ruler, right? Ruling, a really big player for Taurus people. I think that there's a lot of what you valued in terms of meaning and where you've gathered your belief system and what has provided the underlying catalytic energy for you to really go for transmutation, I think has been swept away. And Venus in Capricorn is known with maturity and grace and wisdom is doing so and is accepting it. And this will happen 2 more times as she then stations retrograde. So the aftershocks probably won't be so bad, but they'll certainly be internalized, at least in her retrograde. But this is a big shock to like the belief system, and it's the culture. It's the culture that we are operating under that really determines what we contribute to. It gives, like I said, it gives us the meaning to go on, right? And I think that you're going to really question what it is that has given, what kind of stability has truly given you meaning. And again, it's Uranus in your first house that has been really, really initiating and radically reorienting your sense of identity to the point where you're like faced with infinite possibilities of who you could be, right? And what that looks like. It's like you're glitching into so many different possibilities, Taurus, and it's the ability to just be yourself amidst the cycle of life that is why you are our future. You are the seed point, Taurus. But the belief system is that is very stable and very much representative of the actual material matrix unfolding, going through a very big crisis of religion or belief, I think, that has been going on for a long time for Taurus, but then just became very much right on in your lap, basically. Security, comfort, stability, those types of things. So that happened, and then Mercury is now in the 9th house as of today as well for Taurus. So now there's going to be a lot more mental activity in the realm of the abstract, and it's going to bring some clarity and objectivity to this realm, because understanding can easily get blown out, right? Just like a fire. But if it's been burning for a long time, it's going to have a lot of, it's going to take a lot to put it out. So Mercury in the 9th house can really help somebody formulate and intellectualize abstract ideas and bring some clarity, right, in the 9th house. And so, especially when belief system in terms of, in terms of how you identify with yourself too, and the value that you ascribe to these collective meanings, and especially the fact that it's so wrapped up in this Capricornian material matrix. It's a little bit of clarity will certainly be welcome for Taurus in this realm. Now, this is where Chiron comes into the picture, because Chiron not only is going to station direct, it's also going to be in a square by the end of the week with Mercury. So, and that's going to be also the day of the eclipse, the full moon in Gemini. I still have eclipse on the brain, guys. So it's still going to be it's going to be the same day where Mercury then comes into a direct square with Chiron that's now direct. So for Taurus people, these issues of these imposed like emotional wounds and trauma is like soul trauma for Taurus. It is making itself known in the morphogenetic field and the ancestral field and the karma of all of us. And so it's really finding its foothold in your realm of your soul and your soul's work, right? And so when you're talking about like very real belief systems that have to do with the value and not only value of those belief systems, but finding your value in your spiritual or social beliefs, right? And there's an emphasis on the individual value for when you're really seeking these mystical realms. And so to again meet Pluto, you are accepting a process that is is going to be very painful and also going to be incredibly it is a necessary path along being able to see truly what is going on under the surface. And Venus herself is just like, yeah, I'll let you like pull away my own surface in order to start this process of transformation. And so for it to be belief systems is very hard for anybody. But so for Taurus, I mean, it'll be nice to have, like I said, this a little bit of objectivity and mental clarity here, and kind of taking it seriously. And the square to Chiron that is now projecting these wounds at a soul level for Taurus now out. The tension here is with the mind being very much more in tune, not only to the collective frequency band, but specifically to the frequency band when it comes to the big picture and the overall meaning of everything for Taurus. And so it's going to bring out a lot of the outdated belief systems that you may still be tapped into, Taurus, that are going to then, it's like Chiron is going to project right out onto our minds exactly where our wounding is. And it's going to, for Taurus, it's coming from the soul. It's coming from a soul place. And I feel like it will be very easily projected and projecting. It kind of goes both ways. Because it's going to really depend on where, and this is for everybody, but when we're talking about belief systems and the realm of higher learning and the cultural values that we have found meaning in, are they still going to have the same impact on your mind when you then connect into them? I think it's going to show you exactly where the wounding of your soul really is in terms of being mentally aligned with these particular belief systems and values, especially because there was just a huge, really very physically, materially accessible, destructive pattern that was just brought to our awareness, whatever it was. And now, even though we may find our minds on that same frequency band, we have to be very discerning about, is it the false holographic matrix that we are tapping into, or are we tapping into something that is more universal? Are we tapping into natural law through our minds? And that's going to have a big impact on how we lean into this square with Chiron. It's going to cause tension no matter what. It's either going to it's going to trigger us too. And I think that Taurus, if they can really see the belief systems and how they project into the realm of the transcendent experience for the individual, I think that there is a potential here to really change the station on your own belief systems, like tune your dial into a cultural value system that you actually want to be aligned with. And whatever happened on this weekend with Venus and Pluto, which will happen 2 more times, began the conversation, whatever it is. And this is a big healing moment, I think, for Taurus. And because it's going to be, again, in your genetic, and you're going to see very clearly within your own resources and assets as a person, right? In what has been unbearable and what is it that needs to be released in order for you to be released. And it'll have something to do with what you have been creating in your relationships, Taurus, in general. And you'll see exactly what has been in use for such a long time, because it continues to be necessary and it's beautiful, and it actually, you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, but it's also going to shine very clearly on our own individual conscious intuition and awareness on what mindsets and ideas we have to let go of that have been holding us back. And for Taurus, it's going to be in you know, what is it in the objective world? What is it in your resource pool, your assets themselves that needs to be let go of? And it doesn't mean that you can't create and share and come up with new shared resources, but you have to literally flush out what needs to go from your actual physical nature before you can really healthily, in a very healthy way, create something that you can really get behind. You do know that what is already there is going bye-bye in terms of cultural values, and that we can create whatever cultural values and meaning that we participate in. There's something within the very realm of Taurus that has to be cleared away in the very physical nature, in your DNA, right? In your traditions, your ancestry, what you were born into, that has to be cleared away. And that allows you then, Taurus, to be our future. Because all you have to do is be yourself at this point. And then everything else that you create in relation to others will reflect that. And big soul wounding, right? Big soul identity wounding that needs trauma, soul trauma, Taurus, that is really asking to be released by our minds tuning into universal consciousness and the universal rhythm, rather than for you, Taurus, rather than the cultural value system that's already dead and is dying, and whatever is left is just a 2D projection. So, Taurus, thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. If you want to see the video that is the general astrology for the week, you can do so at the end of this video. There will be a way to link to it on the screen, and I'm going to leave you here. I'll see you next week for your astrology report. Take care of yourself and each other. I love you guys. I will see you later.